Hello and welcome to an exclusive hour-long programme with me, Alex Belfield, talking to a lady who, well, is not only gorgeous, but she's a big star. And, of course, she's got a brand new book out called Super Brain, 101 Easy Ways to Have a More Agile Mind. How are you, Carol Vorderman?
Very well indeed. I'm glad you're saying nice things about me. No one can see the truth, can they, on the radio? Marvellous.
Well, you're one of my favourite people because not only are you a personality, you're funny and you're good at what you do. There don't seem to be too many people in show business today who actually can do those things.
You're flattering me now. You're flattering me. You just want one of Miss Cream scones. Is that right? You've seen you eyeing them up all morning.
Absolutely. Well, there's nothing better than looking at your scones, is there? Talking of which, I was searching you on the internet. Have you looked for yourself on the internet, by the way?
No, not for some years after I did once, and I was quite shocked at what I saw.
Let me tell you, there are 4 websites begging for you to do a lads mag.
Oh, God. Well, I did GQ magazine, which I rather enjoyed, I have to say, about 2 years ago. Ooh. And I did enjoy doing that. So who knows, I might do another one. But I was not fully clothed, but I was mainly clothed. Yes, you didn't see anything.
Do you like the adulation of things like that?
No. I just like doing something that I want, If you fancy doing something, do it. As long as you're not harming anybody. That's my belief. Yes, and as you get older, well, as I get older anyway, I think your inhibitions go rather than grow. And so, whereas when I was 20, I'd worry about this and worry about that, and 30 as well. 40s, I just think, life's too short to worry. If you want to do it, you might not have many more opportunities. So.
You seem to have a great life because you seem to enjoy yourself. Is that true?
Yes, I do like to enjoy myself. It has been known. But I do it with my friends rather than kind of in public, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I'm a very social beast, but just with my best friends.
Is being famous as important to you now as it was maybe 10 years ago when you started on Countdown?
I never wanted to be famous, and I never have. And I think, in a sense, when you don't do it for that reason. You keep your feet more on the ground. I see it more as a business, to be honest. And so, obviously, I will have some sort of ego. Everybody does. But it's lessened, and I am less worried about publicity. I sort of think about publicity, for instance, and I think, there's a new book or there's a new program or something. That's part of the business that we're in, that you have to let people know that that's available. But it's not, oh, great, I'm front page of, a newspaper today. Oh, isn't that marvellous? And get a kick out of it. That's not how I see it. I say, oh, that's good. That's going to be good for Countdown. Or, oh, that's good. That's going to be. So that's how I see it. So I enjoy the whole celebrity thing in that people are very nice to you and you can get tables in restaurants. And let's not be daft, you can get discounts at shops and you can get dresses loaned to you, and people generally, will have if you go somewhere, they're terribly polite and all of that, and you can have lots of nice chats and so on. So, if you are a celebrity, although I hate the word, then, 95% of it is very nice. But there is another little bit of that. But I'm not complaining about the other side because that's part and parcel of the job. Apart from when they overstep the line, it's anything to do with the kids or where I live or more, that sort of thing. Then I'm very litigious. I'll get the lawyers in very quickly. Anything to do with the children, and I think that's right to do so.
Okay, gross. We're going to talk about your life and career over the next hour. We're going to play some of your favourite music. Who do you like listening to?
I love Motown. I like things like Sound of Music, and then I like Motown and soul, and then I also like kind of a bit of heavy rock. I've got a band that I love at the moment called The Hours, and a couple of them used to be in Pulp, and I just love them. You've got to play one by them.
Do you really love them, or are you just trying to be cool?
No, I'm not trying to. No, I don't do cool. I don't do cool. No, I really love them. They're very clever. The words are clever, and I love the music.
What's your favourite track then by them?
Oh gosh, there's loads. There's one, Narcissus Road, which I love, and it's really about the Hollywood celebrity thing. She lives on Narcissus Road. And then there's one, Icarus, and Miss You. Those are my favourites.
Great, we'll go. We're back with Carol Vorderman on your favourite local radio station. It's Alex Belfield with you, talking to a lady who seems to have been around forever. And you've created something, although you're still quite young, that you're legendary. How have you managed to do that?
Do you just think I am? You're the first person ever said that.
Well, I think so, because you do get referred to on lots of different programmes. And I think that's when you know you've made it.
Yes, I suppose so. People say, oh, and here comes a Carol Vorderman bit, and they do some calculation, I suppose. Yes, I'm very lucky because mine is the only job on telly where you have to do numbers, and I happen to love them. Well, I'm 46 now. Countdown celebrates its 25th anniversary this year, and it's just lovely to have been on it so long, because it's the very first show I was ever on, and I'd never wanted to be in telly. And so it was the first time I'd ever talked to a camera and was on Countdown, and that was in 1982, and I'm still there. So how lucky am I? Very, 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 I would say. So, and to be doing the same job.
When you were at school, were you a bit of a nerd?
No, not at all. Everyone imagines that if you're good at something, you're a bit nerdy. But I wasn't a nerd at all. In fact, quite the opposite. I was a bit, I'm talking about the 60s and 70s. So I was a bit wild, really, for a North Wales teenager. So I had boyfriends who owned nightclubs and that sort of thing. And I used to go out, as soon as I passed my driving test when I was 17, and my stepfather had it was a builder, and I used to drive out in the pickup truck, the Datsun pickup, and with my two girlfriends, and it was one of those leather seats that went all the way across, and so because I was driving, it would be who had to sit with the gear stick between the legs, and particularly if you had a skirt on. So and all of that. I mean, we used to go out. I used to have concrete mixers in the back and all of that. We used to go to these clubs in Manchester and everywhere. So not nerdy. No.
Because you were so clever, and you're clearly very clever. I mean, you're immense. So you've got an IQ way above most people. Is it easier then to kind of have fun because you don't have to try as hard?
I don't know about that. I just have always gone with what I've wanted to do. I've never gone with the pack. So when, doing Countdown, everyone thought, ooh, what a crappy job to do. Much better to be the hostess, because that was the glamour bit. I mean, not that I was offered that job, but I just thought, oh no, I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. And then a lot of people were doing there were children's presenters, because at that time things like the Wide Awake Club started and so on, which I was one of the presenters on that. But I just stuck to my sciencey bits. So in the 80s, when I was starting to do children's programs, and I started doing a lot of science programs and education shows in the days when they used to make education programs and schools programs, and all the other girls who were around at that time, they all wanted to be on Saturday night and do Swap Shop and all that sort of thing. And it didn't press my buttons at all. And they used to, because they were going for the fast buck, and I just thought, well, that's not me. My time will come. I'll just learn my trade. So I'd done everything, researcher, producer, I had my own production company. We used to make lots and lots of schools programs and all of that. And I just done my little thing and trolled along that way. And then time came when I had the primetime shows, and so I've always believed that you should do what you want to do, and the rest will follow.
How do you feel about things like Celebrity Big Brother? I can't ever imagine you agreeing to do it.
No. Not a chance. Can't ever imagine me actually watching it either, can you? No. Life's too short, frankly.
Why have we got to the point now where people who have already been successful want fame again so badly that they'll put themselves through that humiliation? I
find that weird. I think there is, although publicity and fame can be a drug, there was a time I had in a sort of 1999 year 2000 when I was on everything. I don't know if you remember that time, but I had 5 primetime shows on ITV and Countdown and just everywhere, every paper, every day. And I used to wake up in the morning and I'd flick through the papers, and if I wasn't in every paper, you think, oh my goodness me, this is a bad day. And for a period of about 3 months, I got hooked on that drug. It is a drug. And then at the end, I thought, how stupid are you, Vorderman? That's just ridiculous. Because you started playing up to it, and I thought, no, this is just a nonsense. So I took a step back and, and actively tried to get out of a lot of bits and pieces. And that was by far and away the best thing. But I do I think some people go into these programs thinking, oh, well, it's a bit of a laugh and I don't need the money. And others do it because they need the money, because they've used to make money and used to have a certain lifestyle and the money's gone. So I can understand that as well. And then I think some just want to be famous, and I don't get that. I really don't. And yet it is, the opium of the masses now, isn't it? Is not to watch television. Television itself is to be on television.
What do you think's your greatest skill then? Is it your intelligence, your looks, or your personality? Why do you think you get so much work even now?
I think, I'm on countdown because I can do the sums still. Was
that why you got the job, do you think? It wasn't because you were glamorous?
Absolutely. I had to go and I had to do a sums test. It had nothing to do with anything else. And I just think when you've been around long enough, people know who you are. And, I'm a worker. So when I'm booked to do something, they know they're going to get a proper job, which is important. I tell you what is interesting. The last 3 or 4 years when I've gone in to do a programme, host a programme or whatever, and a number of the researchers and the younger producers, so these would be people, I'm 46, they'd be like late 20s, early 30s, and they come up with jaws on the floor saying, but you did it first take. And I think, well, yes, but it wasn't on autocue. No, but that's what I do. You give me the words and I learn the words and then I say it to camera and they go, yeah, but nobody can do that. You say, no, but because 10, 15 years ago, that's what you did. That was called being a professional. You didn't do a take 2, or if you did, it was because there was something wrong with the shot. So I could stand in a field and I can give you 5 minutes of perfect science material, word perfect. And now, no, we'll just do another shot, we'll do another shot, we'll do another shot. So I think there's a lot to do with that as well.
I was saying to you earlier, though, you are a rare beast in a sense that you have a personality and you are a good communicator. There aren't that many people, particularly of the younger generation, who can actually communicate as well as you. Why do you think that is? Where has that gone?
I think there are a lot of young people who could, were they given the opportunity. But television has changed. It's going through, a certain cycle at the moment where you either have to be really dim or really extrovert to get media attention. And sadly, those who probably are natural communicators don't have any outlets. I mean, I look at programmes that are on the telly and there's hardly a single one I'd want to host. There really aren't very many hosted by women that I would think, oh, I'd love to have done that. Because, I was watching telly earlier this week and, from 8 o'clock till 9, it was the final of one blooming singing competition. And at 9 o'clock, another one started. I thought, I don't want to see people who are average at singing, all going, and screaming at each other. Again, I don't want to see it. See, the Strictly Come Dancing, I think, is different because it is of a certain standard, and by and large, it's a very high standard. But a lot of this singing stuff, it's just, oh, good grief, no. Life's too short.
You see, the irony is as well, those who can sing brilliantly can't get work on TV now.
No, they've got to dumb down a bit on their voices, you see. They've got to, when they do their auditions, they should be a little bit crap. That's my tip. Be a little bit crap and look very worried.
Don't worry about it. I make a good job of that.
And then stun them on the live programme because there's nothing they can do about it then.
We're talking today to the author of Superbrain, 101 Ways to Have a More Agile Mind. We'll talk about that next in your childhood here on your favourite radio station. Here we go. We're back on your favourite radio station talking to the Queen of British TV. Do you like that?
No.
We're talking to Carol Vorderman today about her new book. Let's get the book out of the way first. Superbrain, 101 Easy Ways to Have a More Agile Mind.
Yes.
Is this just a book to make money, or does it really work?
No, it really works. What we wanted to do was this on the back of all the Sudoku craze that happened a year or so ago. And a lot of people wrote to me an email to say that after having done Sudoku for a month or so, they found that a certain part of their brain had been reawakened. So they found that they were suddenly much more open to ideas to do with logic or engines or maths, and they found that they were better at the countdown game and all of these. I know anecdotal evidence, but nevertheless that they'd created new pathways in their brain, and that they were then starting to use those pathways in other dimensions. So what I have done, because I'm very left-brained, I'm very logical, and if you gave me a book with different exercises in, I would always choose the easy path. I'd go for the logic, whereas others might go for creativity. So we've split it up so that you have to, in effect, go for all areas of your brain. And after a month of, if you worked on that for an hour a day or 45 minutes a day, you will have a fitter brain at the end of it, because you can regenerate brain cells and you can generate new pathways in your brain. You can learn. You're not just dumped with this 3 pounds of fat and water inside your skull and it just remains like that. You can train it. So if you can do that, then you will find a whole host of benefits that run through your life. You may be happier, you can control your appetite more. There are all sorts of different spin-offs to what you may think is just an exercise in memory.
One of the lines in the book is, if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Yes.
Is that really true, that if you stop thinking, you really do become less intelligent and less able to just get through life?
Yes, because you need to regenerate brain cells, and for that you need an active brain. And if like people, if you just plonk someone in front of a telly for 6 hours a day, then they turn into potato, frankly, with a mushy brain. Whereas the key things that you need physically are, you need good sleep, and a solid sleep. You need oxygen, so you need to get out. You need bright light. You do not want to be sitting in a sort of half-lit room all day, every day. Otherwise, your brain will turn to mush. So if you don't want to use it, then you will lose it. So everybody has, and it's very cheap. You can't get out and walk for half an hour. There are cheap alternatives that are available to you, and the exercises don't cost any money. They're things that you can do with a pen and a piece of paper.
And a walk in the park can be as good as anything, can it?
Yes, it can. A piece of research which came out just before Christmas said that 25 minutes of bright light first thing in the morning has now been shown to improve children's ability in school. So when they get up, you switch all the lights on, even in the winter, because obviously it's dark here in the winter. Switch all the lights on, because it releases a lot of serotonin inside your brain, and that's what you need to be able to concentrate better and so on. So there are all of these little tips, all in Superbrain.
Presumably then, I'd be better living in Barcelona than I would living in Norwich. I mean, presumably having sunlight more every day and having better food and a better outdoor lifestyle is going to be better than living in a place where it's dark half the year.
It will be if you're then doing some mind games. It's not just about sunshine and about fresh air. It's also about how you stimulate your brain, because it's quite interesting, because in the northern hemisphere, and particularly in the northern countries in Europe, of course, the better education systems tend to come, from the Germany and this country and Holland and so on, because we're not out gallivanting in the sunshine day in, day out for months on end, but we all wish that we were. So it's a balance between them, obviously, but you do have to be able to concentrate as well. Yeah.
This is a bit of a silly question, but are you blessed with intelligence, or is it something that we're all at the same level when we're born and can be intelligent? What do you find with that?
Men, can you believe this? I find it impossible, are born with bigger brains than women.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but apparently it's not the size that matters.
You're not the first lady to say that to me.
It's the quality. Size does not determine intelligence. But yes, you are born, and it's largely genetic, with a certain mass inside. But half of our brains are what's called committed to tasks. So half of our brains are committed to running the body in terms of touch, nerve endings and so on, smell, sight, and all of that, which means that the other half is left for us to develop pathways. But even if you are born with a potential for a high intelligence, if that isn't educated properly and schooled properly and encouraged properly, then, if you just plonk a child for 8 hours a day for the first 10 years of their lives in front of the telly, then they're not going to be geniuses.
Even if they're watching you?
Well, that's different.
We'll take another piece of music and then we'll be back with our remaining moments with Carol Vorderman. Here we go.
2 more minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Great, fantastic.
God, it's gone quick, hasn't it? We're back with our remaining moments with Carol Vorderman. You're a very private person, yet you're a very social person. We never see you in Hello Magazine inside the house or anything like that.
Oh, no. Ooh, don't do that. No. I once did a shoot for OK Magazine. It must be, 12 years ago. In the days before, there was only OK Magazine, I think, and Hello. And nothing intrusive happened at all, and I regret doing it now, but they were very different. Things were very different then. I'd never have anyone inside my house. Never do anything with the children. You'll never see a photograph of my kids in any newspaper. I think when I got my MBE, I had a photograph with Katie because she was at the Palace. But I am fiercely protective of their privacy because I hate to see mothers flogging their children's privacy in magazines. I think it's wrong of them because, your child's privacy is not yours to sell, it's theirs. And once you've sold it, it's gone forever because the newspapers are then entitled to print as many photographs of your child as they like, because if you take them to court, they can then say, well, I'm sorry, you did the whole photo shoot. You sold their privacy, not us. So it's wrong, I think, for celebrity mothers to do all these photo shoots with their kids.
I upset Jordan about 6 months ago when I made that point to her about the endless OK Magazine front covers she does with her kids. It just seems to me you have no rights. I don't think you can ever moan about me doing an interview or wanting an interview or a pap trying to get you coming out of a club if you kind of do that, because you're opening yourself up to it, aren't you?
Yeah, I quite agree. But if that's what you choose, then that's fine because that's your life, you're an adult. It's when it comes to the kids because, I just don't think it's right. I think a child is an individual, and a child, whether you believe in human rights or not, but a child, should have certain freedoms. And I regard my children should have the freedom to walk down the street without being bothered by photographers. If I do photo shoots for newspapers and celebrity magazines, they will not have that right anymore or that freedom. And that's, I don't regard it's mine to sell. So I'm fiercely protective of that.
Very finally, congratulations on the People's Awards, which you do on ITV every year. They're just so great. And let's move on very finally to Countdown. How's it going with new Des?
Des O'Connor, fantastic. He started on January the 2nd, and he's such a lovely person. He radiates happiness, Des. He's 75. He's got a 2-year-old. He lives with a woman 10 years younger than me, and he is a perfect example of a super brain because you say one word to him and you can remember 1,000 jokes just related to that word. And stories, and he's a pleasure. He's a real pleasure to be with.
I think it comes full circle to what we were saying in the beginning. People like Ken Dodd and Des, we shouldn't ever lose their genius because their minds are amazing and their acts are just unbelievable, but we never get to see it now.
No, we don't, and it's wrong because, they've been schooled over decades, and they were schooled in the time which there isn't now, when they had to really learn the skills of being a comedian and stage work, and it was crafted stuff then. And Ken Dodd is one of the funniest men that's ever lived, and yet, in London media circles, he's regarded as, well, he's not very cool, is he? So what do you have? You have a swearing, strange person, sort of, what do they, not hermaphrodite, but one of these sort of, you're never quite sure what he is, Russell Brand, on with his very odd hair and swearing all the time. I don't get it, but then maybe I'm old-fashioned.
Also, you're a lady. Do you find him attractive? A lot of people say they do.
Not remotely. Not remotely. I don't even know if he's trying to be a boy or a girl. Well, I don't.
Carol Vorderman, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Superbrain, 101 Easy Ways to Have a More Agile Mind is available in your stores now. Always really nice talking to you. Thanks for sparing your time.
My pleasure.